Renee, Chris, and Ryan going live. Best podcast, Beauty and the Beast. Sit back and catch a vibe. Oh yeah, we talking zombies and apocalypses and all those things you like. Going beast mode, and if you didn't know, it's P to Z up on the mic. Whoa, hey, TWD family, grab the snacks about the pantry and subscribe and like if you can, please. Or those walkers eat you like some candy. Hey, okay. You at the right place at the right time. No one does it better, that's the bottom line. Beauty and the Beast, this is prime time. Let's go.
Okay, I think we're live.
Well, hello.
I think. I mean, here's the hoping, because things were going a little too smoothly today, and I'm a little concerned. So let me just sign into YouTube real quick, because, God forbid. Wow, the sound is perfect. The video is perfect.
Well, I guess it was the first time for everything.
Guys, you know me. I am never speechless. I can never shut up, but I am truly speechless right now.
Yay! Now that you're speechless, that everything went successfully.
Renee, it's beautiful.
He's gonna cry, guys.
I even have, because we don't have, as you can see, it's only me and Renee today. Chris and Meg had other stuff they had to take care of. So because we have the extra space on screen, I actually have a chat box. So right next to you and I is our logo, and then underneath that is a chat box that updates with our YouTube chat. So people watching can even see the chat in real time.
Nice. And Meg just popped on and said audio is perfect. And
Thank you, Meg.
Kira's here. So good.
Guys, this is like 7 years in the making, and I have never, as long as I can remember, had no technical difficulties.
Just a good day.
That's it. That's the show. Goodbye. Have a great night.
Signing off now.
It's like you wait for the other shoe to drop. You know what I mean? Hey, Takira, what's up?
Well, yeah, so we're here to talk about the finale of Dead City.
Yeah. The semi-finale and the finale.
Yeah, the penultimate.
The penultimate
episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess what are your thoughts overall for the season?
Overall, I loved it. It was a breath of fresh air. It felt like the old Walking Dead was somehow back, which is very cool.
Yeah.
Because we had talked about this, that they had fallen off the proverbial bandwagon a long time ago. And really for me personally, after season 6, season 7 of The Walking Dead, I mean 8, 9, and 10 in my opinion were complete duds. But 11 really kind of like stepped into high gear a little bit, but they still weren't back to their original selves. Like the finale, the final season of The Walking Dead was overall very good. It was not a 10 out of 10. It was like, for me, like a 7.58 out of 10, which for me, I'll take it, because the seasons before that were not even close. It finally felt like this season, while not being a 10 out of 10 for me, was at least a 9 out of 10. Which is, for me, is very good praise, because I pick apart these episodes and these seasons like everything. But what did you think, Renee?
Yeah, I loved it. I agree with that early Walking Dead feel, and I think that has to do with the small size of the cast so far. That's people, because that's what we all love. A lot of when you talk to people about the first seasons and how much they loved them of The Walking Dead, it's because they could concentrate on those stories, and towards the end it was just you were all over and you got to see everybody a little bit and try to and it would be episodes in between where you wouldn't see people and then have to remember what the heck were they doing the last time we saw them, things like that. So I really did, but yeah, I like how it feels familiar enough to be in the Walking Dead universe, but definitely different enough that it keeps it unique. And it's so, this, having it set in Manhattan is just such a, drastic change from the woods and things like that we've seen for so many years. But yeah, I really liked it. Yeah, I would agree. I would probably, 9 out of 10 for the season. I really liked it. I wrote an article and ranked my episodes because I thought that would be, interesting to look back on and stuff. But yeah, so I agree.
Yeah, I think that one thing that very important that came from the first season of Dead City is it showed that the original formula of fewer characters, fewer storylines is better. When you start having, 4 groups of characters that, you have a group that's at Alexandria, you have a group that's at the Commonwealth, you have a group that's at Hilltop, you have a group that's Oceanside, a group that's here, a group that's here. It is so hard to follow what is happening because you could go 2 or 3 episodes without seeing a single group of people. So then all of a sudden, almost a month later, you are now in a completely different location. Confused as shit is what happened. And they spent almost the entire episode talking about what that group was doing in those 2 or 3 weeks. And it's like when you could have just showed us.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't regret that we had all those characters in The Walking Dead because a good chunk of them we have known to come and love.
Yeah.
On a personal level. I mean, you do see what we do at the camp, right? And, being able to have, Cooper running around having people doing the wave, you know what I mean? And then talking to him and then coming back inside after the hotel almost burned down. Not really. But then see Cooper on the couch sitting back with a mic in his hand and he's bullshitting with people. And I'm just like, and then, or like the time that Chris did an arm wrestling contest with Cooper, you know what I mean? Shit like that. Like, I'm so thankful that The Walking Dead gave us these people that we could connect to like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I also wish that the storylines had been more focused.
Yeah.
Because it was too confusing. And I think Dead City showed that, you can have the background actors, you can have the extras and stuff like that, but you have the core people that you're focusing on. I mean, you talk about, you had Negan, you had Maggie. Herschel, for all intents and purposes, was basically a background character. Even Ginny, who didn't have any speaking lines, but did a good job of conveying her emotions and things like that without speaking. I'm sorry, she had one line, as we talked about. You had the Croat, you had the Marshal, and then you had the tribesmen. The tribespeople. But, that's it. You know what I mean? And so, you really could narrow in and focus on what was happening. And from week to week, it wasn't jumping back and forth. It was a consistent storyline. And I think that that's what The Walking Dead has been missing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, agree.
Takira, yes, I was just about to say how much I love focusing on 2 main characters, or I guess 4. It's true.
Yeah. But yeah, so did you want to talk about 5 or just go into the finale, or?
I to be honest with you, my ADHD is all over the place. I have watched both episodes 3 times. I could not tell you the order of what happened. So if your mind works that way, please feel free to, and I will shoot off of you.
So episode 5 was they were in the sewers, right? All that stuff happened. So we lost the last tribes people that we know of, I guess. I don't know if they were the last ones, but they were pretty much last.
I think so. I think they were pretty much the last ones.
Because a lot of them
got that idea.
Yeah. So it kind of seems like that group has fizzled out. And then that's when we also, Ginny is there with Maggie and she knows the truth about the grain and tries, listens to Maggie lie to her yet again. Yep. She runs off. I loved it. The liar across the wall in blood. That was
written in blood. That was chef's kiss.
The girl doesn't speak a word, but she speaks volumes,
She does. And I feel like she learned a lot of that nuance from Negan too. I think Negan kind of rubbed off on her in that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then Maggie runs out. Maggie has to fight the Walker King. That was pretty cool. I love the logistics of it all. But that thing was awesome. And if you listen to the making of kind of thing about it and stuff, it was very interesting. The showrunner, Eli Journay, he actually had that idea for several years of doing this kind of walker that melted into itself or into others and that kind of thing, because as long as those heads aren't damaged, they can still chomp and do the whatever.
Yeah.
So so I thought that was pretty cool. And so then that would happen, and then that one ended with we saw, like Pearlie and Negan bond in that one, and we saw
that was cool.
Yeah, that was interesting for
What do you mean no?
But I think it's I think it's the thing that the marshal was so dead set on whatever he was told happened, and he was going to serve the justice, make sure that Negan paid for his crimes. But then once he heard about it as a father and a husband himself, he it hit home with him, and I think he finally realized, oh, this wasn't all that I thought it was, kind of thing. So it kind of changed his tune on that. But then at the end, then we saw Ginny with the flare, which I'm sure Negan had taught her to do if she got in trouble. And he knew immediately what was going on. And then we moved into then that's all we'll say on that one then. Yep. But yeah, then we moved into the finale, which started with the flare. And I thought that first scene I was shocked that Negan was responsible for her dad's death. I didn't even think about that because he said he went to the farm. So I assumed they all lived on the farm, not put it into the fact that, her dad was a, marshal or whatever.
At first, I thought he was lying.
Yeah.
I thought he was saying that to get rid of her.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But then I was like, I why would he lie like that? Mm-hmm. Why would he lie about that? Mm-hmm. But at first I thought it was definitely just a tactic to get her to, like, be willing to walk away from him. Mm-hmm. Like, what's the one thing that he could say to her that would get her to leave him?
Yeah.
And I think it was that. But the more that I heard, like, him talking to Maggie about it, I'm like, no, I think this really happened.
Yeah. I think, and I mean, I know him, him saying that she was just a debt. I don't think that, of course, is true, because I'm sure he was thinking about his own son who's growing up without his father, and I'm sure that hit home with him and things like that. So, I just had never occurred to me that could be the possibility that he was killed her father. I just, because they said, oh, she lives on the farm, whatever. So I thought, oh, it's just a little community that lives there, not, whatever. So I was really shocked with that. And then, I'm sure it broke his heart as much as it broke her heart to hear those words and have him say things like he did, but he had to get her out of Manhattan, you know?
I mean, he definitely lied when he said that you were just a debt that I had to pay. Mm-hmm. That was 100% a lie. I think we can agree on that, right? I think that it definitely, maybe that's how it started out.
Yeah.
But I think it definitely morphed into a father-daughter relationship shortly after he took her under his wing.
Yeah, and Negan's always been that way with the kids. As a former gym teacher,
Carl.
He just Carl, Judith, everybody. You know what I mean?
I even fed your kids spaghetti.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so he's always had that. Despite all his other flaws, he has been good with the kids, and things like that. Some people just have that gift, but so that was quite a shock, and then. So then Pearlie just, volunteers to take her back so that, to get her out of Manhattan so that they can deal with what they have to deal with. So that, was, kind of crazy the way that was, but, it had to go that way.
Absolutely.
And then this is another episode, which I liked it, but it was another one where they did a lot of what Chris had mentioned before about how much walking they focus on. I don't know if you paid attention to that. Like when they were headed to I don't know, was it a train or the station or whatever, where they were where they were headed for that. It just felt like they walked outside a long time again. Like it was just, a little longer than it needed to be or something. I don't know. But, but then soon after that's when, Maggie goes after Negan. And I don't know. What did you think about all that with their fight and everything?
So we talked about this in our pre-show, and this is something that has always been a pet peeve of mine. And I understand that you have to get out that the series has been renewed for a second season, because you have all these people who are dedicated to finding spoilers and doing this and doing that and finding behind the scenes and blah, 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 blah. I get it. But at the same time, announcing that there's a season 2 and that it will involve both Negan and Maggie is a problem, because you have now created invulnerability for that character. And it is no longer suspenseful whether or not they are going to live or die. Yeah, you could throw a curveball in there. Oh, look, Maggie got bit in the arm or something. You know what I mean? And then cut it off. Like, the same old trope that we see. But the problem of that is that they're doing this fight, and it's essentially for no reason. She's not going to kill him. He's not going to kill her. And I get that she was trying to capture him and bring him to the Croat and stuff like that, but it was just it was so stupid, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, just like them announcing the spin-offs way in the middle of season 11. Well, now Daryl, Carol,
they could have said, Walking Dead unnamed spin-off number 1.
Yeah.
Walking Dead unnamed spin-off number 2. But they chose to name them. And they chose to do what they did, where they released all these teaser pictures and shit like that. And it's like, they could have done, okay, we have this new show coming out. It's going to be based off New York City. It's in the Walking Dead universe. It's called Walking Dead, the Walking Dead City. It's involving 2 main characters from The Walking Dead. That's it. Because then, again, it created invulnerability for Maggie, Negan, and Daryl. And essentially Carol, because
they had said she was going to be be on it,
and Melissa didn't back out of the project until after the finale had already been filmed. So that's my pet peeve, because I don't think in an apocalyptic world, no character should be invincible, no matter what,
right? Because
it's not realistic. You could be walking down the street and all of a sudden a zombie just grabs your leg and bites your leg and you're dead. But but again, that I don't know. That's a pet peeve of mine. Always has been.
Yeah. And I agree with that. But I did think that it was an awesome fight scene. I love that it was not just them kind of shoving each other. They were like, contact, full contact, and he's yelling at her. Like, we don't have to do this, Maggie.
At one point, he punched her in the face. I was like, oh, shit.
I know. Yeah. Then when he threw her off, I was like, oh, no. Where's she? I mean, like you said, you knew she wasn't going to die, but where's she going, And so, it's been difficult to take a lot of that, and Meg just said they've been posting all the pictures of filming. I mean, that's spoilers, and I get so frustrated. I see people all the time, they post them and they don't mark them as spoilers, and I mean, that's fine if you want it spoiled or whatever, but the rest of us, the majority do not want it spoiled.
100%. And I think that it's either Twitter or Instagram or both. I can't remember which. But one of them, you can actually label something a spoiler, and it puts a film over the picture or the video. And you have to actually consciously click that you want to view it anyways.
I think, I'm not sure. I know they do something with, content. I'm not sure. I know Twitter, you can, hashtags, if you do TWD spoilers, you can, that's what the common thing is to put on those, which a lot of people do, and you can filter that hashtag out into your feed. You can do that, so that's a nice feature. But but I see so many people, it drives me crazy, and they post them like they've taken the pictures. I'm like, you weren't there. I know you weren't there. You live clear across the country or whatever. You know what I mean?
And I'm not trying to knock anybody if anybody does that. Please don't take it that way. But to me, it does ruin part of the experience for the people who are trying to wait for the episode to air. And I think it's especially not right and not fair to the people who live overseas and stuff like that, who might have a harder time of watching it than we do in the US. It's just consideration. That's all I ask, honestly. I personally don't know what people get from that. I don't know what the attraction is. I mean, you're gonna.
I think they just want to be the first to tell everybody. They're just so excited about it, which we all are. But I feel like they just want to be the first one to, break the news, kind of thing. Whatever. So and I mean, if you want to do it, I mean, like I said, I have no issue if you want to see it. But the majority of people don't want to see those, and it does give away a lot. So and Meg asked if do we think we'll see Annie in season 2? Whether we find out if she didn't make it to Missouri or what happened to her once she got there, or a Negan Annie reunion. I don't think so, but I mean, I think I would love to see that. Even if we saw a flashback of what happened with him, taking them to the wagon train kind of thing, or something like that. But so I don't know. That'd be cool. That would be neat to see. So we'll have to wait and see what happens because that would be pretty cool.
The only thing is that I don't think it's been announced how many episodes the second season is yet. No. I think that'll be a huge determining factor because I think that they have, like I said, like I talked about earlier in the show, I think they've started to realize that they have to narrow in on storylines.
Mm-hmm.
And if, obviously, what's happening here is with the finale we learned that Negan is teaming up with Dama, and I don't trust her to begin with, but Negan's gonna have his own reasons for doing what he's gonna do, and I don't think that he's slipping back into old Negan, but I do think that he is going to put himself in a favorable position to make his life as easy as possible in that current moment. We talked about it in the pre-show, Renee, but I think that the Marshal is going to try to find some way out of New Babylon, maybe take his family. He's going to magically encounter Maggie along the way because she has now been guilted by Herschel to go back and get Negan. And then they're going to go to New York City and try to get Negan back. And that's going to be the main storyline, in my opinion. If they were to take away from that storyline to talk about Annie and
Joshua,
thank you. I don't think it'll happen. But if they can do it in a way that incorporates them into the storyline, then I see it being a thing. If Annie shows up at the Bricks because Negan had told her about it, like he wrote to her somehow and got it to her, and she shows up at the Bricks and says, I want to get Negan back, can I leave Joshua here? So then maybe Maggie and Annie set out to go get Negan, and it's a way of leaving Herschel and Joshua off screen, but still relevant to the storyline.
Yeah, because maybe their wagon train doesn't make it and they turn around or something. It could be something like that or whatever. But I think too with Pearlie, now I like, I mean, obviously the methane is going to be the thing, obviously, from what the leaders of New Babylon, what she had said and things. But I wonder, like Pearlie, sure he has this connection with Negan, but he certainly doesn't he's still who he is. He still has his law and order and that kind of thing. I feel like he will come against, he'll want to go fight against the Croat. Like I don't know that Negan's going to be his, I mean, this is, again, my opinion, that I don't think Negan's going to be his primary concern because he's got his daughters, she obviously threatened the daughters, and I feel like he'll honor that because he is, this person who is very clear about what's black and white. I mean, even, even talking to Negan, at least he, kind of understood that, but I kind of feel like maybe he will, maybe initially come, alongside
he did lie.
Yeah. Well, he did because, but that was just one little thing. He's still who he is. And he's still this person who's believes law and order, believes justice should be served. But he did stare at those, the walkers hanging out there when he pulled into Babylon. So I feel like that, that could be kind of a key to where he's kind of like double rethinking his stance on things. So it'll be interesting to see because I really like Pearlie and I hope we learn more about him and I hope we learn more about New Babylon in the second season as well. Because I think I want to know how big it is and stuff because it's multiple communities and so it'd be interesting to learn more about that. But it'll be interesting to see what happens with Pearlie because he's rethinking some things for sure.
If you were to guess how many episodes season 2 is going to have, how many do you think it would have?
I kind of feel like they might stay with the 6.
You think so?
I don't know. Just because they've talked so much about it. I mean, I know all the Walking Dead their first seasons are 6 episodes, so it doesn't necessarily mean that. But I don't know. I just kind of feel like they're going to keep them small and more condensed. And then the storylines will have to be more compact. Like I think Dead City did a great job at not rushing things. I felt like like Fear the first part of the last season of Fear the Walking Dead, it was pretty rushed, because they were trying to get to Morgan's Endgame there, by mid-season. And a lot of it was like, kind of pushed along. But we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. But I don't know. That's just I kind of feel like these spinoffs are going to kind of keep them more condensed and tell things a little quicker, I guess.
I was thinking 12. And I was thinking because 6 episode half season. because
and that could be
yeah. I mean, if you were to take the 6 episodes and do the first season or half season, and then you space it out by a month or two, and then you do another 6 episodes, it gives you more time for storylines, and it also spaces it out a little bit more, so AMC could really capitalize on the series. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I had seen people online were saying like 16 episodes, which I think is way too much. 16, in my opinion, is more like a finale, like a final season.
Yeah, for sure.
But I like Meg said 10. I think I honestly think between 10 and 12 would be good, because that way it gives you a first half and a second half.
Yeah.
And that really does traditionally seem to be the Walking Dead formula, right? I mean, it's a 6 episode first season, and then after that it expands a little bit, and they split it in halves. And I think that is probably the route they're going to go, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, I just feel because they're trying to redo all this. They're, AMC is really trying to push these spinoffs. They're really trying to change things, the way they're doing things, and that kind of stuff. That's why I feel like it'll just stay the 6. But again, my opinion. So
yeah, exactly.
Only time will tell with that. So, but so it'll be interesting. So, all right. So we got to Maggie and Negan's fight, and then let's see, Pearlie took Ginny back, and that was not really she just didn't even want to talk to him or whatever. And then that was
funny. You try to hand her the flannel. And she just walks away, and he's like, all right.
All right. Yeah, she's not happy, which, understandably, but, So, and then the next thing is when they're in the ambulance with the Croat and his guys. And that's the time they talk about, that's when he learns how he found out all of this Jerome that they brought up. That's when they find out that, Jerome is the one who told him about the story of the widow, told him, what Negan had been, that, all those things. So he had learned all of that stuff. So that's how he found out about Maggie, to end up contacting her to carry out this plan. So to get Negan. And I was trying to remember, because the next time they're in the driving is when they talk about Lucille and all that, right? It's the second time after Maggie. Okay.
Yeah, that was after Maggie left and Herschel left.
Yeah. So I don't know. I thought that was really interesting to see how he kept tabs on him and everything, and then he was able to find, this guy who we had never heard of, but obviously he was around the whole time because he knew the whole story. So, it, allowed the Croat, just with his, just this obsession with Negan. It's just, he's just so crazy about it all. But it was, very interesting. And then we come to the trade-off then. So we get to where,
the hostage trade-off.
They get that. And, it was, you expected it to be more of a reunion between a mother and son, and it wasn't quite what was expected. What did you think of all that with, Herschel and Maggie?
Well, so as far as like the hostage swap, I was very surprised that the Croat kept his word, because Maggie was really not in a position to make demands. For all intents and purposes, she was being held prisoner by them just as much as Negan was. And I know, like, when they're in the ambulance, she had the knife to Negan's throat still, but the Croat outnumbered them. If they wanted to overpower Maggie, they could have. So with the Croat being as deranged as he is, I did like that little plot twist that he actually let her go with Herschel, because I didn't expect that. I thought he was going to turn on her.
Yeah, because he kind of said in the ambulance, he said something. Did he say keeping the boy or doing something?
Yeah.
And
he said I considered keeping Negan and the boy.
Yeah. And then she was like, oh no, kind of thing. And and the whole thing with her, holding the knife to Negan and all that kind of stuff. I kept thinking, I was just looking at him thinking, Maggie, if you would have asked him, he would have done this for you. Negan would have totally traded his life for her. There, he would have. And because he would think, I can get out of this. I'm Negan, I can do this, kind of thing. And this whole time she just feels like she's got such an upper hand on him. So I just thought that was kind of interesting, because I'm sure he would have done it.
Absolutely.
If he was
hands down.
So
yeah, but otherwise I thought it was good. we talked about it in our pre-show, but like I'm tired of the angsty child trope that they're stuck with. You know, I mean, you go back to Judith and RJ and Henry and Enid, and you know, fucking spare me, please. Like, I like the potential that Herschel has for a future within the Walking Dead universe. Like we talked about this, they could very easily do a 20-year time jump, and it's the future of the Walking Dead. It's, you know, some of our you know, the children from the Walking Dead who are now the leaders of these communities, and you know, they have a council of leaders and whatever, and see how it goes. I think that would be great. But I can't deal with his mom. You're ridiculous. You know, spare me. I'm so beyond that. You know what I mean? But I think that he should have expanded on this conversation with Maggie when they're in the car, and he was kind of going down the path of, you don't really care about me, that all you can do is focus on Negan and what he's done. And I really think that there should have been something along the lines of him saying that, just admit it to yourself. Everybody else knows it, and you know it, so admit it to yourself and to us, that no matter what, you will always choose enacting vengeance against Negan over everyone else, including me. And I think that would have been a very strong driving force for Maggie to sit there and reconsider what's going on.
Yeah.
And I think that would have developed very well into a second season of her going to get Negan back.
Mm-hmm.
Because she's going to realize that he's right.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that the conversation they had was good.
Mm-hmm.
I think it could have been a little bit better, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you think,
Home
Renee?
a little. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I liked it. I thought, I guess, you know, I'm always indifferent to Maggie. She's never been a favorite of mine. When they said she was returning, it didn't even matter to me. I was like, okay, great, whatever, you know, kind of thing. But and it's not like I don't like her. It's just I guess I'm indifferent, I guess is what it is. You know, I don't know. She's just not on my radar or whatever. But I was like, to me, it was like, even though he's being all angsty and all this stuff, I was so glad he said what he said, at least to bring that to her attention. That, you know, you try to say this is all for me, and it's the, you know, like it's to have a better life for your kid going forward, blah blah blah, things like that. That's not what she's doing at all. You know, she is so hell-bent on, you know, getting revenge on Negan, and even though he's tried how many times to redeem himself, you know, but Maggie's biggest problem is every time she sees Negan, every time she's with Negan, it isn't, I mean, yeah, Glenn, that's part of it, but a lot of it is she sees so much of herself in him. And that is why, that is her problem. Mm-hmm. Because she knows that they are very much alike, and she hates that. Absolutely hates it.
In the time she spent apart from The Walking Dead, where she had taken Herschel and she left and whatever, and we got little bits and pieces about what she was up to and things that she had gone through. I think that she surprised herself with how Negan-like she was. Mm-hmm. And she realized, and especially when who was it that said was it the what the hell's his name? I can never pronounce it. Tommaso. Mm-hmm. Where he had said, "By any means necessary," right? And you kind of see her kind of like be taken back a little bit, like, oh shit. You know what I mean? Because
I am Negan.
Yeah, because she's not that far different from him, and it scares her.
Yeah, absolutely. That's for sure. Yeah. So they have the first conversation, and then that's when we see Pearlie go back. You know, he stares at those body, you know, like those they put those people who'd been served justice or whatever on the, you know, they hang them from the thing and let him on display.
Yeah, they did. Stopped,
he paused and looked at those, and I'm sure meant something, you know, that we'll find out. And then this is when he goes into with the prefect, is what I guess she was called. I don't know if they'll give her a name eventually, but where he starts talking to her, tells her the story about, you know, he killed Negan kind of thing, and she's pretty disappointed they didn't get to put him on display. You know, she wanted to make it, you know, to do that. And then you know, when she stops, at first when she's when she said, I want you to tell me the story, I thought she was going to say, like, we know you lied or something like that, you know?
Yeah.
I was like,
I mean,
oh,
she definitely knows more than she's letting on.
Yeah.
For sure. So it begs the question of how.
Yeah.
Did she send someone after him because she didn't trust him to get the job done?
Because he's new, you know. I don't know how new, but he said he was something about the new marshal or whatever. And so, you know, maybe she did or something. I don't know. But yeah, she does definitely feel like or seem like she knows, knows more than what she's letting on to. But then, then when she talks about the ethanol, then, you know, it's like, okay, that's obviously, you know, she wants to know all about that because it's going to be easier than trying to make, the methane, not the ethanol, because the ethanol is a little harder to, you know, make and grow all the corn for that and everything. So yeah, this will be, obviously that's setting it up for the second season, is that's going to be a, you know, big thing between the Dama and her people and New Babylon, you know. So that'll be what they're setting this up for. So
do you think that the New Babylon is going to try to wage a war against, like, the people that the Croats are part of?
I think so. Yeah, I think so, because, you know, they're going to want that resource. You know, it's a pretty valuable resource. So I kind of feel like, you know, she'll want Pearlie to explain more about what happened and how things are. You know, he was in a lot of the areas. You know, he was in the Croats, you know, sanctuary and all that kind of stuff. So I'm sure they will be picking, you know, his brain to find out as much as they can and where things are and whatever. So yeah, I definitely think that'll be key, one of the key points anyway, because, you know, the Dama, she wants to take over Manhattan as well. So
I did like that scene where the Croat was outside of the Dama's office, Dama, and the person walked out, was like, "Move, bitch!" He was like, "Milady."
She wasn't having any of him. Yeah.
And she, like, chest bumped him. I was like,
I
was like, wow. So this guy's, like, you know, maybe his reputation, is a little bit more exacerbated than we expected.
Yeah, I think everybody thinks he's crazy. You know, I mean, he's pretty. Yeah, well, he's, you know, he does all that showmanship like Negan, and so that's just not something everybody is like understand. Like, well, what are you doing? You know, and it is a show for, you know, to survival and things like that. So yeah, so then we get to where just the Croat and Negan are in the ambulance alone, heading to the Dama's place, and that's when he starts going on about, you know. I think you said that about how he was like thinking all that was his fault or whatever. Yeah, and that kind of stuff, and how it was just very odd how he is with that whole conversation.
Yeah, because he almost like portrayed it. Well, obviously he reveres Negan. He even at one point had said it's, you know, it's like mom and dad are back together or something. You know, it's like, you know, that was a little weird, you know, and then he was talking about everything that Jerome had told him about the widow and, you know, all that stuff. And he was like, and there you were. And where, you know, what is a rock star without his stage or something? You know,
his microphone.
Without his microphone. And out comes Lucille, you know, and just the way he's telling it is very bizarre. You know, it's almost obsession, you know. And it's very weird because, and again, for me, it's a good weird, because I didn't expect it. Because the entire time, the entire season, it led up to that point. They were leading on that the Croat was angry with Negan, that he wanted his revenge on Negan, and that there was going to be some kind of like major blow between them in the season finale, and there wasn't. Yeah. And so for me, that was a good surprise because, again, spoilers. We live in the information age. You log on, you can find a spoiler for anything nowadays. Yeah. So that was very cool. But like I said, I kind of wish that when they were in the ambulance and he was talking about Lucille, I kind of wish that he had like pulled open one of the drawers under their seat, because I know the ambulances, they have drawers under there, and like pulled out like a mock Lucille. You know what I mean?
A little token.
Yeah, exactly. And then him just be like, and then like have the Croat be like, you know, I've had this since the day you tried to shoot me. I've been waiting for you to come home. You know what I mean? I've been like,
Yeah, I know. Yeah, because it's just so funny how, but I read an article that Joko Ivanic, who plays the Croat, and he said in the interview, it was with AMC, and he said that, that the Croat does look to Negan as a father figure because he found him at his lowest point. I mean, he was ready to, paint the wall with his brains kind of thing, is what Negan said. And Negan pulled him from that. He lost his family to cannibals. He had a lot of trauma going on, and then Negan pulled him out of that, gave him a home, gave him a job, gave him a,
he gave him a reason to live.
Exactly. And so he does look to Negan as the father figure kind of thing. And that was evident, like you said, we kept waiting for this, altercation between them. And when he first sees him, he's like, Negan. And he's so, proud to show him his Sanctuary 2.0. He's so excited to, show daddy what I did, here's my, look what I made.
Exactly. It really was like a kid who was vying for his father's approval after like 10 years.
Yeah.
And that's really how it felt. And kudos to Joko, thank you. You're lucky I know who Jeffrey Dean Morgan and all them are, because I can't remember names for shit. But Joko and JDM, I mean, that was portrayed beautifully, especially when they're sitting in the ambulance and the crawl is just going on and on and on, and you see Negan, he's kind of sitting back and he's just looking at him. And at certain points his body language is like how far is this guy fallen? Because he really is deranged. He really is.
I think that's part, like the Dama and the other, the Barazi and things like that. I think they see that they see, obviously he's talked about Negan enough to where the Dama was so impressed she had to meet this man. She's like, I need this man on my team, and so it's almost like they kind of, I almost consider him kind of a joke because he's just so obsessed with this other person, and like she said, she was glad to know that it wasn't just a figment of his imagination, that, he had made all this up, that this was the real person. And
what'd you say? You weren't a creation of one man's psychosis or something?
Yeah, something like fabrication or something like that. Yeah,
one man's psychosis. Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was awesome because she was wondering, but yeah, and it was so that was it's just crazy how he is. And then, like you said, when he gets to the door, he's like, oh, it's like mommy and daddy together or something like that, where obviously he puts her in that maternal position, which it's just so odd.
I hope they don't repeat what happened with Alpha and Negan, where he like infiltrates the group and gains her trust and then he kills her. And
yeah, let's not do the same story. Let's have a different story.
You know what I mean?
But it could be really interesting, I think. The Dama obviously has huge plans for him. She wants to put him in leadership. She's going to retain the major leadership, but she's going to put him at some position. Yeah. And she wants to take over the rest of the people in New York. She was talking about Harlem and different places. And she, so that's her idea, is to take all that over under her umbrella kind of thing, and then have these, I don't know if she's going to have more than one leader, whatever. So, I don't know if these people are willing or if they're going to fight like the tribes people did and things, which I would imagine there would have to be some kind of altercation, or there wouldn't be a story.
Yeah,
they just willingly come over. Yeah. So I think that'll be a huge part in season 2, is playing that part out, because she won't be suspecting that New Babylon's coming after them.
Correct.
So she's going to be having her face this way. She's going to be looking, trying to take these people, and then New Babylon's going to come in and cause even more trouble, because or they'll get the other people and have a bigger army. I don't, it could go either way. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But before he talks to the Damo, that's when we see part of the conversation at the bricks with Maggie and Herschel, and it really just that was when he was at his desk and he was really angsty and all that kind of stuff. But that's when she tells him that she's going to end things, that she's going to finish things with Negan. I think is how she said.
Yeah.
So of course that's up to everybody's interpretation.
I was gonna say, what does that mean? Does that mean that she's going to give up on him, or she's going to go to New York City and try to kill him, or she's going to go to New York City and try to save him?
Yeah, I feel like she'll go try to save him. I do. I think she will, to show her son, I don't know, whatever, that she's a good person and whatever. So I feel like that's what she'll do. But I mean, maybe not. I don't know. She'll just stop. But it'll be interesting to see. And then that's when Negan goes in with the Dama, and we actually, she basically tells the Croat to go. She doesn't want him in the room, and he has her conversation with Negan, and he tells her he's a gin man and all that stuff, which I thought was kind of fun for his his libations company. So he's like reminding her, hey, I have kind of a product placement kind of thing.
That was actually kind of funny. I picked up on that, and it reminded me of you ever watch Red Notice with Ryan Reynolds and Dwayne Johnson and Gal Gadot? When Ryan Reynolds' character goes to his safe house in that island, there is a bottle of gin sitting on his countertop that he grabs, and that's when Dwayne Johnson's sitting there and he's sipping some gin, and it's actually a bottle of aviation gin that has a very distinctive black label on it, and Ryan Reynolds and his wife own aviation gin.
That's hilarious.
So I remember watching that movie, and I said it would have been really funny if, because Ryan Reynolds made a joke to Dwayne Johnson, oh, why don't you just make yourself at home? And it would have been really funny if Dwayne Johnson had just said, because he's known for his comedy, if he had just said, I tried to, but all you had was this god-awful gin. You know what I mean? And that would have been hysterical, but that's what it reminded me of. I was like, okay, I see what you did there.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty funny. But yeah, so she, goes on about whatever she wants to do. She talks about all that, and just creepy, man. That woman just, but she was in Ozark, and she played, you said you haven't watched Ozark?
I have not, no.
Okay, she plays a brutal character in Ozark. She is just, wow. Some of the things she has done were, over the top, but she was so good at it. So that's why I was very excited that she was announced as, being in this with the Croat. So I knew she was gonna be a bad guy. So, it'll be fun to see what she does in season 2.
What's the actress's name?
Lisa Emery.
Okay, Lisa Emery. Okay.
Yeah. So it'll be very interesting to see how it plays out. And that's when we find out that she took Herschel's toe. So what are you laughing?
It was all very Vincent Van Gogh like. You know what I mean? I was like, what the fuck? I didn't expect there to be a toe in there. I thought maybe a finger or something.
I don't know. I didn't expect a body part. I didn't know what I was expecting. I was like, what is this going to be? But yeah, that was, but.
Although I did like the fact that she was telling Negan about how she was told the story of the, right? Wasn't she the one talking to Negan about how, no, it was the Croat. I'm sorry, where he was like of her unborn child, and I that was brutal. I don't know why I thought it was her saying that, but yeah.
It was he was talking about Herschel had told him the story of how blah 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 in front of her and in front of him or his son, something like that, who was in the womb. So basically saying that Herschel was present during his father's brutal killing as well or something. So yeah.
Oh, Meg, I didn't even think about that. Taking the toe gives a whole new meaning to little pig. All right. Kind of funny.
Yeah.
Didn't even think about that.
But kind of funny. But yes, that is funny. So then she goes on to say that, and reminds him that, she took this part from him.
Yeah.
Basically telling him, if you don't do what I want, then I'll go get him and take more, that's the essence of what
she say. I could always go back for more.
Yep.
I was like,
yeah.
Oh shit.
I know.
But my first thought, like, obviously seeing the Croat, like the way he acted with her, was my first thought was, how fucked up and deranged is she? How scary and terrifying is she that the Croat is acting like a beat dog around her?
Yeah.
And he tried to hang out with Negan and her, and she dismissed him, and he just kind of went, oh, okay, and like walked out. And I'm like, this is the guy that's supposed to be frightening and scary and whatever, and he's not. This guy really is like a beat dog.
Yeah. And when the first time we met her, he said something about, oh, we're dealing with them now or working with them now or something. I thought, oh, maybe they're on the same playing field. That just that initial when he said that.
Yeah.
But then after that, he kisses her hand or whatever.
Yeah, he kisses the palm of her hand.
And bows down and all that.
And then he puts his head in her hand, and I was just like, what the fuck?
It's just
the Godfather kissing the ring,
Yeah. Yeah. So then we do see Herschel's little toe. He's playing guitar, and they show his foot, and the toe is missing for sure. So we know. And then that's when Maggie finds all his drawings, and then he has that picture. What did you think of that? Like, what do you think Maggie was thinking as she's looking through these pictures and she sees this picture of this woman, and she doesn't know who this is. I mean, she hasn't met her, so she doesn't know what this woman is. And so, I don't know. What did you think about all that?
I think that she realized that there's more to the story than she thought.
Mm-hmm.
That I think she realized that maybe the Croat wasn't, the head of the snake, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that she realized, oh fuck, like this is more involved than I could have ever imagined.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that she's gonna want to know who this person is.
Yeah.
Especially when she finds out that she took the souvenir of his toe.
Yeah, because I was just going to ask you that, and because I don't think she knows that yet.
I mean, people are saying online that she did.
Yeah.
And I don't agree with that.
Yeah. I don't think so, because he's been he hasn't said much of anything. He's not telling her anything about what happened. He's telling her how he feels, how, just that kind of stuff. I don't think there's been a discussion of how things went down. And obviously they, I mean, who knows what the Croat did to him? Obviously they took his toe, but what kind of psychological torture did he do on him? As a kid, he may not, they obviously were saving him for the trade and all that kind of stuff. So they weren't going to kill him, but they, did some stuff to him. And so, I don't know, I had mentioned in a pre-show about how, Herschel's story in the comic, it got, he doesn't end up well at the end. No. He's got big issues, and he's got his Walker circus of thing and all, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
They could do something really, really cool by following that storyline.
And I think they will.
I hope they do, because I think that would be outstanding. Give that kid that, give him a story, that's, it'll be unexpected for a lot of people that don't know, the story in the comic, because a lot of people haven't read the comics.
Yeah.
And so, anyway, I just thought that was really interesting, just because I feel like she still has, because he said something. Yeah. Oh, that's right. He said, I felt safer there.
Yeah.
Because out here, I'm always worried about what bad things happening next. And I thought that was a really interesting comment, because I would be scared witless in that place with the Dama and the Croat and all those guys. You never know what they're gonna do. So it'll be interesting to see what that happens. And then the picture with Negan and Maggie at the end, I thought was so cool. Yeah. I thought that was a really neat way to end it. And I thought that was very cool.
We talked about it, and it was a very cool way of showing that no matter what happens, they're connected. They're no matter how far apart they try to get away from each other, they're always going to be connected somehow. They're always going to have that history, and she can't run from it. And I think that she thought that when she handed him over to the Croat, that it was done. Mm-hmm. That she will never have to deal with him again. Mm-hmm. And I think that as she's seeing these pictures, and you see the split view of her and Negan, and they both look up and she opens her eyes, I think she realized, shit, it's not over. You know what I mean? And it's like, oh shit, I fucked up. Yeah. And I think that was her realization.
Yeah. So I thought that was a great way to end the season. I'm excited for season 2, because I feel like it can only get better. I think, I suppose it could get worse, but we'll just hope not, Yeah. But I think that, I just think that, Lauren Cohen and Jeffrey Dean Morgan have such good chemistry. They are,
absolutely. And
I was really not excited about this when they first announced it. I was like, oh man, are we going to see more of season 11 Maggie just ragging on Negan the whole time and all that kind of stuff? But, that's just like, I was so sick of it, like, we get it. We understand why you hate him. It just doesn't need to be continually beaten to everybody's head. And so, no pun intended. And, but yeah, so I think that, I think it'll be really interesting going forward to see, and especially if we learn more about they've introduced these very interesting characters, and so they have great potential to do some really cool things. So it'll be cool to see. Somebody had said something too about Ginny and maybe Ginny and Herschel teaming up and like trying to go save Negan or something. I could see that happen too if she
absolutely.
So that could be interesting. But yeah, so then San Diego Comic-Con, we got lots of announcements. Like you said, Dead City has season 2 coming. Daryl was announced for a second season as well, which we know it's been filming for months. So that was, you know, I don't know why they waited for that one.
Yeah, that was weird.
But
we know you already know this, but
yeah. No, it's official. But they kept showing these little clips of the Daryl, you know, little teasers and things. When we finally got the full length trailer, I don't. Did you see it yet for Daryl?
Not yet.
Okay, so watch it because I honestly am finally excited about this series. I have not been, I mean, everyone knows Daryl's my favorite, but I have not been excited about this series. But seeing the full-length trailer and what his mission is, so he finds those nuns. I don't know how much you know, so I'm just pretending you don't know anything. So he finds this group of nuns and things, and I think it looks like they're branding him, but I'm sure they're cauterizing a wound or something. But yeah, it looks pretty vicious, you know, kind of thing. So what it is, there's this little boy, Laurent, and they believe that he is some kind of, they think Daryl has come as a messenger to take Laurent to she tells him he's ready. And he's like, ready for what?
Okay. To
begin the revival of humanity. So I don't know what this boy is, but they believe he has this purpose to revive humanity. And Daryl is going to be the person who takes him wherever they need to have him go. So... but if you have AMC Plus, you can watch the first 10 minutes of the Daryl Dixon's first episode.
Yeah.
And I watched that, and that really made me excited.
Okay.
So I know everyone's kind of been like, oh, what's this going to be about or whatever, but it's going to be very different than The Walking Dead, which is what they've said. I mean, that's what they should be doing, and the scenery alone will make it that. But I mean, and it looks like in the trailer, and I think we discussed this too, that like he's probably like on a cargo ship kind of thing, and then something happens to it because then he ends up in the ocean on the lifeboat, and there's some explosions and things that look like he could be on some kind of cargo ship kind of thing is what it looks like. It's just a quick, like he's running in explosions and kind of thing, so it could just be a trick of the light or whatever, but that's kind of what it looks like. And then they do show him wash up on shore with his lifeboat, and he's in the sand and all that. So I don't know, seeing the trailer did get me excited about it finally. So
that's good. I mean, I'm cautiously optimistic.
Yeah.
That maybe they, especially after Dead City, maybe they learned their lesson. You know what I mean, about what to do and what not to do. So I'll be cautiously optimistic for it.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. And they've got, and the French actors that they have, they're good. I mean, they're good actors. Like they're very, in France and things like that, they're very famous. Like I know that Clemcy Posey, I think it is. She was on location somewhere, and people were just losing their mind in France. They were wanting to get rushed to the filming sites to see her and stuff like that.
That's
so,
cool.
So I mean, yeah. So I think, so that's exciting. So that'll be September 10th. That will start.
Yep. And
the first episode, right after the first episode, the first Daryl Dixon, or not Daryl Dixon, Ride with Norman Reedus, the 6th season of that will also start.
Yep.
So, which is, I'm excited because Keanu Reeves is going to be in one of the episodes.
That was very cool to see that picture.
I have been, every time he talks about Ride, like on social media, I always say, Keanu Reeves, you need to have, whatever. So when they announced it, like it's been a year, I think they filmed it over a year ago. And Norman had mentioned it on one of the talk shows he was on, and I was so excited. But Josh Holloway's going to be an episode.
Yep. Johnny
Knoxville's in another episode. So yeah, it should be a good one. I don't know how many episodes it is. Then as soon as Daryl's done with his 6 episodes, then the back half of Fear will come.
Yep.
And did you hear what happened with that?
No, I did not.
Troy returns. They announced. I mean, he was in the trailer. They showed him. I'm like, the man was beat in the head with a hammer. He was missing an eye. You got to be kidding me. I can't even put a positive spin. I mean, I loved his character. I mean, and when Troy was there and alive and doing his thing, I loved his character because he was a great pain in the ass, kind of thing. But how are they doing this?
I am very glad that I am not watching Fear.
Yeah, so
maybe I'll watch the finale, maybe.
Yeah, well, I'll just give you play-by-plays, but
absolutely.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm so excited to see Strand. I love Coleman Domingo. I love Strand, so I'm excited to see that. I'm excited to see him in Madison's reunion because they were such pals and this kind of stuff. And then we're gonna see it like the way Daniel had said something about Luciana, almost like she died, and so it was like, but they show her in the trailer, so she'll be there. So we're gonna see a lot of these characters that we didn't see in the first half of the season. So that's kind of good. But I mean, like Meg said, I love Troy too, but I don't understand how they're doing this. It's just idiotic.
Yeah.
And I don't know what, like the mystery scene they showed at the end, this person has Alicia's arm, has Madison's hammer, had Strand's glasses, maybe sunglasses, and he's got like these things. And they had a map of like these points along the way, like where they've been, kind of like they're tracking them, but it's been years. So what in the world is this person doing? And then and supposedly that's gonna, I mean, I suppose that could still be somebody else. They didn't really outright say that person at the end of that was Troy. They just said, because there was pictures like where you could see, like, he always had those like sideburns kind of thing that so you could see that profile. So that's why everyone assumed it was him. Plus they saw him on set, which that could have been a flashback, but it sounds like he's back. They showed him on screen at Comic-Con. They have featured him in the little promo things they did. Like they did a kind of a Comic-Con in 30 seconds kind of thing, and it says Troy it says it on that. And I'm like,
but they get then they wonder why people fall off. I mean, one of the points of The Walking Dead is it's suspenseful. Remove the suspense, it's shit.
Yeah. So I don't know. We got 6 episodes left of Fear, and then it's done. So
thank God. I mean, I'm so sorry.
I know, because I love the actors. They've got so much potential.
Absolutely.
They had this cast that they could have done phenomenal things with.
Yep.
And it's sad. But yeah, and Meg says about Tobias showed up rather than Troy. Yeah, a lot of people said that too. They kept wondering if Tobias was ever going to make a return, I mean, like, might as well just throw him in there,
I mean, that would have been more believable than Troy.
Right, absolutely. Yeah. But I saw somebody on Twitter even said, fine, if you're bringing him back, then you might as well just bring Nick back too. Oh, and then somebody says about Travis. Travis fell out of the helicopter, and so
fuck it. Let's bring back John Dory too. Let's do that.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Fuck it. Bringing everybody back.
We saw him as a walker, but
no, it's fine. Nope. Don't worry about that. Reason has nothing. Reason has no place here.
Yeah. So and I don't know. So we'll see what happens with that, but And so and if anyone is interested in watching Fear, all of the episodes are now on AMC Plus. They took them from Hulu, so now all the episodes are available on AMC Plus. So that's where it moved to. They kept waiting. They didn't They didn't even announce anything. They just took it off of Hulu. Evidently that contract was done, and it's like, there was nowhere to watch it for like a week. People kept asking, and it's like better get your show somewhere. But so.
There'll be a lot to talk about in the Walking Dead universe, that's for sure. Yeah.
So
we have a month and a half until
Daryl's.
So that'll be interesting.
Yeah. So and then with with the strikes going on, we have no idea when we're getting anything. I don't know. Did they write any of Dead City ahead? Because if they wrote it ahead, I think they're able to do it. But I don't know that they. I don't know if they would have had time. I mean, I know like Lauren Cohen, when they asked her what her last line, that line about Negan meant, she said she knows what what Maggie means, and she already knows all this stuff. Mm-hmm. So some of it could have been written, but I don't know if it'd be enough to get it into production or anything. I don't know.
I think that pretty soon, all the major studios their hands are going to be forced.
Yeah.
I think that they're getting to a point where all the new content is coming to an end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
And so I think they're going to have to come to some kind of agreement.
Yeah, because I did hear A24. So they're like I think they're kind of independent, but I'm not, or whatever. But they are being allowed to continue production on several projects because they already comply with all of the demands of the strikers.
Okay. I mean,
I'm like, okay, so you have the small company doing it, but the big companies can't. That doesn't make any sense.
I mean, if the big companies aren't complying with some of the demands, I mean, that makes sense.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, I'm saying that if a smaller company can do these things, obviously give them more pay or do whatever it is, the big ones aren't.
It's the big ones don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
That's the difference. You know what I mean? So, but without your writers and actors, what are you?
Yeah.
You know? Pie. Yeah. Just do a British edition of Walking Dead. Maybe that's where Rick and Michonne get back together.
No, there. Oh yeah, that was the other thing. They announced the title for that. I was like, there was one more thing from San Diego Comic-Con. So it's The Walking Dead: The Ones Who Live is the Rick and Michonne series. It's not called Rick and Michonne like they've been pushing on everything.
Or they call it. At one point, it was called Summit or something like that too.
Well, Summit was like they always have a working title. Like Isle of the Dead was a working title, and I forget Daryl's was Raise the Dead maybe or something. But those were just what they call working titles. Like when they submit things, I think they do that partly so you don't know, like when you read, because you can go on the production sites and see what's filming and things, so you don't see what it'll say. It'll say The Walking Dead Summit. Well, what is that? That kind of thing.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, but yeah, so it's but then they had pushed everything out with just the Rick and Michonne, saying Walking Dead Rick and Michonne, like The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon, and they but they did change it to The Ones Who Live. So I think I like the title. So
absolutely.
So anyway, that's I think all the news in The Walking Dead, and
I think that's all we got.
We wrap. Yeah, so. I don't know what we'll be doing next, if we're going to do anything in between. We probably will. I'm
sure we'll come up with something. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll think of something to talk about.
Yeah, but as always, we will, Renee will post everything and let you guys know, keep you up in the loop and up to date on everything, and let you know when we're going live. And, hopefully we'll be able to have the 4 Meegops back soon. Looking at you, Meg and Chris.
Yeah.
But no, seriously, thank you everybody for tuning in tonight. And I know it's kind of like a little bit all over the place, and we covered 2 episodes in an hour. But I think that we had a pretty good in-depth conversation about it and everything, and think that we can all agree that we're excited for season 2 and to see what comes. I think that they left off at a great spot. So I think that's all I got. Anything else, Renee?
Yeah, I don't think so. Thank you guys so much. We love you, and we'll see you maybe next week.
Absolutely. I just got to find the friggin' ending screen. Oh, God. Okay, there we go. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Renee, Chris, and Ryan going live. Best podcast, Beauty and the Beast. Sit back and catch a vibe. Oh yeah, we talking zombies and apocalypses and all those things you like. Going beast mode, and if you didn't know, it's Peter Z up on the mic. Whoa. Hey, TWD family, grab the snacks about the pantry. Subscribe and like if you can, please, or those walkers eat you like some candy. Hey, okay. You at the right place at the right time. No one does it better, that's the bottom line. Beauty and the Beast, this is prime time. Let's go.